Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be talking transfer related stuff, but we're going to be talking about the current value of basically every player at Celtic. Now, I know there is a long list of players at Celtic. We're going to try and keep it as short and concise as possible, so the fact this video doesn't run on for days. But it's coming off the back of an interesting article I read the other day, the Daily Record published, where they were talking about how Celtic's squad is valued at £115 million. Now, that was combined of basically every player there, as I've already mentioned. But in that article, the Daily Record also went through and gave a value, or an estimated value, for all of the players, some of which I agreed with, I could understand, and some where I believe they were slightly off the mark. So today, Ryan 118 himself is going to give his opinion. I'm going to give my opinion on the... And why was I speaking in the third person? I'm going to give my opinion on what I believe the Celtic value is, the Celtic squad value. Now, I know a lot of people won't agree with me in this, and probably disagree with me when it comes to the opposition. I don't think that many Celtic fans will be too far off the mark with what I believe, but I'm going to try and be as fair, as realistic as possible. I'm not going to be mad and come out and say, you know, Edouard's worth 90 million quid, and Frimpong's worth 50 million quid, and Jack Hendry's worth 10 million quid because we know he's worth nothing. So we'll go forward and we'll go through as many players as we possibly can, as quickly as we possibly can, because we've all got beds to go to tonight, lads. Anyway, if you do enjoy the video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, much appreciated, as we get back on to another week of videos. We weekend off there after a hard week last week. So anyway, let's move on and get right into it. Let's just not hesitate. Let's go for it as one take, maybe. I don't know. Craig Gordon is the first player who the Daily Record valued £100,000. Now, to be honest, I think it was a bit fair. If Craig Gordon was to leave Celtic, it'd probably be for nothing. I think his value is probably nothing. Now, yes, he doesn't... You play him, he's a fantastic goalkeeper, fantastic shot stopper. Don't know if he's still got it, considering he's not played all season behind Fraser Forster. But, you know, he's not going to go for anything, is he? Let's be honest. If he's going to either leave with his contract expiring, or he's going to leave for a fee of zero. So, I mean, you know what, Daily Record, it's nice of you to value him at that, but there's no way we'd get anything for him. He's probably, you know, a bit past it. Scott Bain, number 2, estimated value being £800,000 according to the Daily Record. Now, if you asked me this right after the game against Valencia about a year ago, if you asked me a year ago today what Scott Bain's value is, I would have said probably up to about 2-3 million quid after his performances against Valencia in Europe, and how he was getting on in the first team with Celtic domestically as well. But now he's just fell completely down the pecking order. He's really not got a place at Celtic, it seems, at the minute, apart from probably being the backup keeper once Gordon retires, or when we find someone else to replace Foster as well when he leaves at the end of the season. Who knows, Bain might get back in that team at some point, but right now, yeah, I think the record probably got it spot on. I think £800,000 is probably around a fair price for Scott Bain, considering he's played no football this year. As I said, though, about a year ago, you could be talking about a couple million quid. So it's unfair for him, I suppose, in the sense it's dropped that much, considering he's not been able to do much about it. But I don't think he's the greatest of goalkeepers anyway. I didn't feel a sort of confidence when he was in goals compared to the likes of Foster and Gordon. I know a lot of Celtic fans might disagree with me on that, might say Bain was good and such. I don't think he was good. I think he was decent. £800,000, probably a fair price. Jeremy Frimpong, estimated value. I think this is where they've been a bit unfair. £2 million. Now, I know what you could be saying, you're too quick to jump to conclusions here, Ryan. He's only played for about 5 months. How is he already more than £2 million? Like, this is a boy that's signed from the Manchester City Academy, has come into the Celtic team and proved he's first team quality, and he's put in some cracking performances. Yes, kind of dipped in the last couple of games, but he'll recover his form. I'm sure he will. But when he was playing his best, when he was coming into the Celtic team, he was showing how much of a promising individual he is. And now, if you're saying to me someone was to come in January with £2 million, you'd accept it? No chance. I think you're talking, you know, 4 or 5 million for Jeremy Frimpong. I think he's that good right now at that age. You know, you've got to look at it as a way of Celtic, you know, really trying to establish himself as someone who don't give in as easy, and £2 million would be far too easy to give into. So, Frimpong, I'm going to go for £45 million. So, we'll say £4.5 million. I feel like that's one that's probably going to cause a little bit of controversy. People say I'm estimating them too high. But aye, now we'll on to one of the youngest stars in the team and one of the best players in the team. We've got Christopher Ajer, who they value at £10 million. For me, that's not enough, considering, right, look, he's not remarkable by any means. I think he's shown that he still has flaws to his game, still needs a little bit of work in here and there, but generally about 90% of his game as a centre half where he never started is fantastic for a man his age, and he's only going to get better, and he'd be a real asset to any team, you know, down south or whatever. I think he's a fantastic prospect that, you know, any manager would love to have their hands on. So £10 million I think would be a silly fee to let Christopher Ayer. I think you're talking 15 to 16 million quid for Christopher Ayer. And maybe by the end of this year that could go up even more depending on how his performances go. But right now in this current moment, I'm saying 50 to 60 million pound. He's a potential, you know, wonder kid you've got there. He's obviously developed a lot over the past couple of years in that centre back role. And Christopher Jullien, who we signed for about £7 million. Yeah, I think if we signed him for 7, he's got to be worth more than that now. I think, you know, £9 million you're talking for Jullien. He's been nothing but a fantastic addition to Celtic. Yes, he's had a couple of shaky games, including the Partick Thistle game at the weekend, but Jullien has definitely got a lot of great quality, and he's at a unit as well. £7 million, we have to make profit, don't we? Because he's played like something you make profit on. For me, £9 million is what we're talking for Jullien. And to wrap up the defenders very briefly, oh no, I don't like this. It was this point in the video I realised that we're not going to be able to do this, like talk about every player the way that I already have. So when it comes to some players who aren't as talkative on the difference in fees, we're just going to kind of wrap it up as one, like I'm about to do now. To quickly wrap up on the defenders, then I feel like we've had the main kind of discussion sort of ones. El Ahmed, I've went up for a rise on what the record gave him at £2 million. Siminovic, I've also given a rise on £2 million as well. So both of them, I think it could be like £2 million. I think record had both of them around the 1.7 million, something like that. Hendry, I would pay people to take from us, so I'm not even going to discuss him. Near Beton, I think £1.5 million is probably fair, judging on his injury stuff and that, which I believe might be a wee bit down from what the record gave him. Greg Taylor, I've also put down a bit because he's only played like twice since coming to Celtic, but definitely has potential and that could shoot up if he does get the time he deserves as a left back in our team. £2 million I've got him in it though. Bolingoli I've put down as well because he hasn't been great, but once again has the potential to go up if he just starts playing a bit better. So I've got him at £2.5 million down from £3 million. And Johnny Hayes I've went up a wee bit because I still think he's got utilities to him that could help any team in this league, and I think 100 grand is a bit unfair, so I've put him up to £500,000. I don't think that's too outrageous. On to the midfielders then, and the Daily Record provided me quite a shock when they said Callum McGregor is valued at £18 million to them, and after thinking about it a little bit more, I completely understand and get where they're coming from when they rate him so highly, because he's the kind of heartbeat to the Celtic team. He's the catalyst for everything alongside Ryan Christie. If you think about it, he's the engine, plays every single game, and he's always consistently there. Callum McGregor, yeah, for me, is upwards of £20 million. If it was me putting a price on, if I was Neil Lennon and I was forced to get rid of him, I'd be looking for at least 20 million. Probably about 22, 23 million pounds I would have on Callum McGregor's name. Fantastic player. As I said, he's that engine in the middle of the park that if we lost, we'd be, you know, very much struggling to replace him. It'd be very hard to find a player of similar quality to Callum McGregor to run the show in the middle of the park like him. So I do get where they're coming from when they give him that price tag of 18 million, but I would put it up a little bit more, because why not? He could, you know, people are talking about how Rodgers was maybe looking from Leicester. Leicester should be paying that sort of money for Callum McGregor, £22 million. I don't think that is unreasonable at all. Talking about his partner in crime there, and Ryan Christie, they had him valued at £8 million. I think for me, he's got to go up as well. He's one of Scotland's youngest promising players, one of the best players that we've got at that kind of age and position. He's one of the best in the country right now in comp form, yes, out of the wee injury and such. But Ryan Christie, for me, you're talking double digits, 11, 12 million pounds if he continues playing the way he is. I think 8 million is a bit short of what I would be personally expecting as Celtic manager. Obviously grabbing goals from everywhere this season when he's been played out in the right and played in the middle as well. You know, he's always got an assist in him. He's a playmaker. He causes a lot of bother for teams all around the league. And in Europe as well, you know, he's got that kind of flair to his game that I think any English team or such would love to have their hands on him. Hopefully they don't, but I think £12 million for Ryan Christie is a fair enough price. One of our top scorers this season, one of the biggest contributors to goals over the past year or so. I think £12 million once again is not, you know, short of reasonable. I think he's a good player, and we deserve to have money for guys that age providing that amount of talent. James Forrest was put in at £9 million, one of the top players in the squad, of course, or arguably our player of the year last season, a fantastic winger. Linked with Liverpool, if you remember right, like one point last season in what was a bizarre rumour to have broken out. Obviously, not a lot of truth in that. But Forest, I think £9 million. Do you know what? If we were talking at the start of the season, I would have easily turned around and said, like 13, 14 million quid. I think this season he hasn't been as prolific, hasn't been as good. It probably has brought his value to a more realistic fee of around 9 million. But I'll round it up to the double digits. I think 10 million would be fair for James Forrest. He's a double digit worthy player. He's a Celtic icon at this point in his career. And he's someone who can provide a lot of spark down that wing. Yes, sometimes consistently he disappears for a period of time and then he'll come back with thunder. And I think if you could just get him playing well every game, £10 million is not a fee that is outrageous for James Forrest, one of Scotland's best players as well when he plays his best. Someone who has been nurtured at Celtic, has been brought up through it all. And the fact he stayed here the whole time has been terrific, and I don't see him leaving now. It's not going to happen, I don't think. But if he was to, if it was a bid to come in tomorrow, I'd be hoping for at least £10 million. I think Celtic have the right to look at a fee of around £10 million for someone who's contributed so much to the club and has so much to contribute to anywhere else he'd go. But the former, I was about to say, the next and final player that we're going to look at in detail for the midfielders is Olivier Ntcham, who I think the record of absolutely robbed £5 million, I think is outrageous. I don't think he's that low, I think he's got to be higher than that, 8-9 million quid. Look, I know this season he hasn't been really favoured by Neil Lennon, and he hasn't been in the squad probably as much as a player that I'm trying to say of this quality should be, but it has been a tough competition to get into that position. You've got Brown, you've got McGregor, you've got Christie, you've got Rogic, you've got a lot of players who can play in and around the middle of the park. It's going to be hard to get in there, but Ntcham has shown in the biggest of games throughout his Celtic career that he can be the man, like the man everybody wants to watch. The last gasp winner in Rome is a real indication of how good this guy can be, and I think when surrounded by the right players and the right attitude, he's a player who is worth a lot of money to Celtic. We signed him from Manchester City as well, a player who has came up through their system and such. But look, Olivier Ntcham has got undoubted quality. He's a magic player, I think. When he plays his best, he's magic. That's the word for him. And I think £5 million, if we were to sell him for £5 million, I would be personally fuming. I think the board would be daft. I think Lennon would be daft. And I don't think it would leave the fans particularly happy because there's not many better options out there for £5 million. Like, we refused to pay £4 for John McGinn. Then, that just says it all. For me, Ntcham's, £8 or £9 million at least. He's still a young guy as well. He's not really, showing too many negatives at Celtic. I know he's got kind of a split opinion around him sometimes, but nah. For me, Olivier Ntcham, £8 9 million. To finish off the midfielders then, very quickly, Scott Brown, they've gave it 1.5 million. I agree with it. I agree with everything that the article had to say about Brown's importance to the team and such. So 1.5 million. Kouassi I put up from 400 to 500 grand because I'm difficult. Rogic I put from 4 to 5 million because, once again, a player that when he plays his best, there's undoubted quality there. Injury problems, yes, limit him a bit, but you're going to look at a few million quid for him at least. Shved I have put down from 2 million to £1.5 million because he's not played any football. And I want him to. I really want to see him get a chance. I want his value to go up, but right now I don't think we could justify getting the money back we paid for him. And Mikey Johnson I put up for 2 to 4 million quid because he's just signed a new contract to keep him here till 2025. Clearly has potential. We would not let a player with that long left on a deal away for 2 million quid at that age as well. I mean, is he even 20 yet? I think he is 20 now. We wouldn't let him away for 2 million. Which finally brings us on to the final part of the team, and that is the strikers. And we know what the main conversation is going to be at this point in the video. What is the value of Odsonne Edouard? What is it £30 million? Daily Record have him at £30 million for me. Yes, that is the value of Odsonne Edouard. We cannot let him go for any short of £30 million. A fantastic player. I mean, probably the best in the country. There's not much else I can add to this. Why would I justify, that fee? He's up there, and it's the same with Morelos, Rangers fans. I think he's up there for that sort of price. We've got to, players of that quality playing in this league, we need to start getting fees like that for them. If Edouard was playing anything like this in League One or England, probably talking upwards of £50 million. But it's Scotland, so you've got to be a wee bit more realistic. I think 30 million is what we've got to let him go for, at least. There's not much else to add to it. Look, what do I need to debate here? If anything, I could be saying it's more, but I'm going to be realistic, as I said at the start of the video. £30 million, I believe, a fee that represents how good a player he is and how important he is to Celtic, plus a lot of time left in his deal as well. I think that's fair. Means the last few players are the likes of Patrick Commango, who just signed for $3.5 million, so I'm going to keep him at $3.5 million. Lee Griffiths, who I've put down from £1.2 million to £1 million just because of the amount of kind of everything that's behind him just now is just took a big knock in his value, and hopefully if he keeps scoring after the goal of Partick, that will just keep steadily going up, showing how good a player is. But he's also 29. I don't think he's going to get a move for a lot of money anywhere. If anything, if he was to leave Celtic, I don't think it'd be for any money. So I've got him in at $1 million. Hopefully he stays though. And finally, Bio, I've slashed from 600k to 300k because what can I justify there for 600 grand? I'm trying hard to. I think it's hard to justify 300 grand. I hope once again though, Bio is someone who gets a chance in the future, but only time will tell. 3, 2, 1, and there we go then. Just a bit of fun this video. I know not everyone will agree with me. I know people will probably have their opinions and probably disagree and hate me and stuff, but do you know what? There's only so much I can do. I'm not an expert. That is just my personal opinion on these players. So let me know yours in the comments below as well, and if you have enjoyed, as always, I urge you, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts to my thoughts. Probably going to be a harsh one this, but well, we'll soon see. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.